and that's going to be recorded forever. That I said that.
Oh, I consent to being recorded. Yes.
Yes. Okay. And now we're up on YouTube, so everybody just got the bump that we're live. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm going to close that. And
so much technology. This is wonderful.
Yeah, so technology. Let me double check that we're good to go. I just got the bump that we're live on YouTube.
Cool.
Okay, so we're ready. We can get some folks in here.
Hi, everyone.
Hold on, they're still coming in.
Okay. No, I meant like hi, everybody on YouTube. All of our watchers.
Hi, everybody on YouTube. Hi, everybody we just invited into the room. Welcome. Your cameras and mics are off on purpose. So we'll give it a couple minutes for other folks to join us, and then we will kick off the annual meeting here shortly. Oh, hi, Mary Lynn. You were very sneakily able to turn your camera on. How did you do that? Oh, that wasn't part of the plan.
It's okay.
It's okay. I love
We'll
seeing
see
your
your
faces.
faces.
It's fine.
Yay.
I thought I said no to that. Let me see. Okay, well, I hope everybody is well and staying cool wherever they are, since we're all baking.
Oh my gosh. I heard it got to 120 in Palm Springs today, but it looks like Mary Lynn is home in Idaho Falls, so that's good. Yowza. Yeah, hot out there. Oh, I love seeing all these people.
We can see you. And Jake, it can be your call when you're ready to start.
Okay. Well, it is 7:01, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. We're live streaming, of course, for the folks that have called in, also live streaming on YouTube. I think this is a great, this is how it's been. This is Alex's expertise being produced for you right now. So we're gonna look at the positive side of COVID and the opportunities it's brought to us. So big thank you to Alec for organizing all of this. To begin though, we need to approve the 2020 annual meeting minutes. And I think those are and have been approved. Is that correct, Alec?
Yeah, that's the ballot that we have up, has a place where people could vote to approve those. And so far, everyone has approved them.
Perfect. Just a note, you know, the meeting format, we're going to be going through the president's report, my report, the state of the symphony from Alec and Thomas. We're going to go through the committee reports. We'll only be going through the committees that have been active this year. As you know, we've had a little bit of a different year. We're going to, the election of the directors and the board members, the directors of the board will be going through the meeting tonight. And so, you know, if you haven't voted yet, please feel free to go and vote. We'll give you some more instruction on that later, but we would love to hear from everybody, and so we can, you know, share those results. And then we will wrap up. And so without further ado, I'm going to begin. Oh, thank you. Go ahead, Alec. Would you just talk a little bit about the meeting format?
Yes. So when I wrote this, I thought that I could also disable your cameras, but I failed to do that. So your mics are off, and that is intentional. That's just so we can get through everything we need to do. If we've got some time, we might play around with stuff, but that's disabled on purpose. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to use the chat function. And at the end of the meeting, if we've got time and if we're able, we will try to answer those questions live. And if we can't, we will follow up with you after the meeting.
Thank you, Alec. In my report, I would like to just share with you how humbled I am by so many things, not only from previous board members, previous years of hard work. I will tell you, COVID has gone as smooth as it possibly could. It's been a huge challenge, and I'll go over a little bit of that, but it could not have gone better. And the reason it couldn't have gone better is because we have, number one, financially, we have reserves and we are in a healthy position. The reason we're in a healthy position is because previous boards, previous teams have done the work and the groundwork to make sure we're in a healthy position. So huge thank you, and it's a huge hat tip to all of the work that's been done in past years. So thank you. Also want to mention how much of a task that the staff has gone through and undergone. They have, if you think about what's happened, we've seen what's happened on the surface. Oh, yay, we get to see this music and it's live streamed and this is so much fun. Look, there's Thomas on TV talking to us, and look at this live music everyone's brought us. But in order for that to happen, so many things have been organized. For example, there was an approved budget before all of this happened, or as it was unfolding. Every time an event got canceled, every time something changed, there was Alec and Thomas. All right, we got to tweak the budget. Okay, how are we going to save a few bucks? Okay, we got to change this, we got to change that. They've been working through that every single time an event's got canceled. We have hope. We have had hope all throughout the year. Oh, the next one, we're going to be able to do the next event. We're going to be able to do the next event. And we haven't been able to. Not only have they been stellar at just handling that, but they have positioned the symphony to provide ongoing streaming for our community, which makes music more accessible for our community, which is what we are all about. So I don't know how to say it more, but huge hat tip and huge thank you to Alec and Thomas for the countless hours that have gone into this year. I also want to say thank you to our sponsors. Usually sponsors are sponsoring particular live events, live concerts, etc. And they have been so accommodating in continuing to support live music, even though we were, we were just offering live streaming. So huge thank you to the sponsors, and so excited for what's coming in the future. Thank you very much. And Alec, I'd like to hand it over to you, please.
Great. Well, thank you, Jake. And just to echo all that Jake said, thank you so much to previous boards for the fiscal responsibility. And thank you so much to the sponsors who were incredibly flexible this year. And thank you to our patrons who were also flexible by allowing us to join you in your living rooms for some music. But another part of that is, and I'm going a little off script, but the community that has been built around the symphony is hugely in thanks to Thomas. So I want to give a shout out to Thomas, who had the most unique 10th year as a music director, I think, is possible. So just a big shout out to Thomas. Thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for 10 years. 11 will be a better one, I promise.
Oh man, it couldn't be any more different than this year, that's for sure.
Yes. So now I'll go back on script.
Okay. Well, so we do have a few things to highlight. Despite the pandemic, we were able to continue to make music and present concerts to our community and expand our audiences to 22 states and 2 countries this year. As Jake mentioned, this transition to the online format was a ton of work, but it was rewarding for all the reasons we just said, just being able to remain connected, to keep our musicians engaged for the most part, and to be able to, as you mentioned, Jake, provide for the community, which really is the most important thing. I think that that growth we can be so proud of, and it's really something that I think will stay with us at the symphony. We have lots of things to talk about in terms of what that looks like for the future, and it's exciting. It's a degree of growth coming out of this time of challenge that I think is an incredible bright spot in all of that. Do you want to go from there?
Oh, sure. I lost track. You were speaking so well, I lost track
Okay,
of where you were.
Well, we're still in the middle of all
Yes.
this.
Okay. So we maintain the connection. Did you say that?
I
one right?
did.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
we're on bullet 2.
Great, bullet 2. So we maintained our connection, and we had more than 24 offerings. You know, Jake mentioned that there were all of these instances of music showing up on your televisions, and we figured out how to do that. And there were more than 24 of those, and that is just outrageously more than we usually do. And it was very fun to learn and program all of that and get those musicians together and give them those opportunities. The Youth Symphony also got to participate in a really unique collaboration where they sent in individual videos, and then one of our Rockstar alumni, Addison Bailiff, put them together. And so we released video of some tunes from Star Wars of the students getting to play. And that was so fun to see all of them come together from home where it was safe to do so, and just present a really unique fall concert for them.
And I think, you know, again, it's the thing that is so special about this is that we were given, as Jake mentioned, so many curveballs and so many situations where we had to change. But that flexibility was something that I think for Alec and myself brought out an extra layer of creativity and problem solving. And it actually helped us grow in these ways and be adaptive and be flexible. And I think that's, again, sort of a bright spot, a good takeaway. You know, I did want to mention of these 24 events, there are some things I really want to highlight. There was a lot of diversity in our programming this year, both living composers, women composers, composers of color, basically composers that are on the fringes of the greats, really had an opportunity this year to shine and to be on the forefront of our programming. And that was extremely special, something that, again, I think will continue as we move forward. And we didn't have a symphony very often, in fact, at all, except for the recycled material that became our season finale. But I think we had these new instrumental combinations, these opportunities to focus on 1 instrument, 2 instrument, 4 instrument combinations. That was really unique. I think also Alec mentioned that we had these projects where everybody played from home, and then we combined all the different videos to make an ensemble. Such a unique opportunity, and we all learned something from doing that. She mentioned the Youth Symphony doing Star Wars. I can tell you from speaking to some of our Youth Symphony parents that was very challenging. Jake is raising his hand. Very challenging for the families and the students to feel like they were doing it correctly. But I think when they finally saw the final product, there was this aha moment of seeing what was possible in that format. So that was really special. We did record Appalachian Spring at the beginning of this year and managed to then rebroadcast that for schools as our ambassador program for this year. Normally our ensembles are going in and visiting with students, but since we couldn't do that, we brought a symphony performance to the schools. That had 49 total classroom views, which if you think of a classroom of 50 students, we're talking about 200 plus students getting exposed to the music of the symphony, and Aaron Copland in particular, and maybe many more than that. It's always hard to predict with how many people saw those broadcasts. So we were able to do an ambassador program. We had live chamber music. We had these, popular favorites, the Red Dress Concert, the Music of Love. I just wrote down, we basically did it all anyway. That's what's so amazing. We had these challenges. We had to do it all virtually, but we did all of the things. We had a gala, which we will talk about. We had a holiday program. We had a Red Dress Concert. We had a season finale. We had a series of chamber music concerts. All of those things happened despite the pandemic. And I know we have a bullet here about our Young Artists competition that also took place in the fall of 2020. The students were one at a time on stage with just 2 family members to do their final recital. We did pick winners, and we're excited to say that those students will have an opportunity to have their performance with the symphony in the coming season, even though they didn't have it this year. So we did all the things. It's just amazing. And I, rather than just shut our doors and operations entirely, we soldiered on. And I think that's really an incredible success story. So again, I'll echo all the thanks. It's because of the board, it's because of the staff and the supporters and our musicians that we were able to do all of this. So what an achievement. It's really something. Yeah,
Absolutely.
the state of the symphony is different. It is evolving, but remains very strong.
Yes. And
Yeah.
we do have, so we've got some pictures here to sort of look back and remember what it looked like and how different it was. So the top left, we have, that was how we did a pre-concert talk, where we had the 4 folks in their own homes. And that was for the Baroque program. Top right was a screenshot from the orchestra collaboration on the
Elgar, the Love's Greeting.
Yes.
Yeah, that was part of our
Thank
music of love from the red dress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bottom left is a screen grab from the park concert, which we called the Backyard Broadcast. Thanks very much to Todd and Gina Stevenson for hosting us there. You can see Adam Bailiff waiting to dazzle us with some clarinet playing, but we had a jazz combo, so it was still an outdoor presentation. And then the bottom right is the string quartet, and that was our
one of the
chamber presentation, and that was at the Downtown Event Center, who is another entity that we need to thank very much, because they hosted us often for our thrown together recording ideas, and so we are so grateful to Jake Durtschi and the Downtown Event Center for hosting us there so much throughout this, and giving us a place that was safe and big, and we could get a lot of folks in there and feel good about it. So
much I'm just looking at this, there's so much technology involved. I mean, this is all very technology based, and we do want to shout out to Kevin Young as well for lending us a lot of the equipment to make these recordings possible. So thank you, board member Kevin Young and musician extraordinaire.
Yes. Yeah. And I do need to throw out for Kevin, the Eastern Idaho Jazz Society. Also, they have the equipment through Kevin, and so we partnered with them to use that equipment. I know they have a number of events utilizing it and throughout the summer, so make sure to check them out at eijs.org. Ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's go on.
Well, now the good news.
So I can officially, and I've been waiting to do this for a long time, I'm going to literally turn the page on season 71, and I get to now talk about next year, which is so exciting. Again, congratulations to the Idaho Falls Symphony for getting through all of this. So we are calling next season Reconnect. It is both because it feels like we are kind of plugging things back in where they got unplugged, but also because of just the lack of having the ensembles, the lack of having the live audiences. We were able to stay in everyone's lives, but we didn't have that connection. So Reconnect is the theme for next year. The great news is that we will be having in-person audiences at the Idaho Falls Symphony again, and the ensemble sizes will be able to grow larger as the year goes along. We're going to try to have a sort of phased re-entry with the ensembles and growing as the year goes along. And that's just such wonderful news. You know, we're excited to announce all of the details of the 72nd consecutive season, 72 seasons of nonstop music in Idaho Falls, with it coming up in July. So the announcement about all the details, but I do have some teasers here for our Idaho Falls Symphony Society members. Those of you that are this close to us, we wanted to give you some tidbits. We will have a park concert. That's going to be something that'll feature the full complement of winds and brass. Since we're outside, we have a little bit more flexibility in how many people we can have. So looking forward to a large orchestra, as large as we can fit in the Freeman Shell there in September. So that'll be our first offering coming back in the season. It's of course free for the community, great for families. It's a great way to reconnect. So we're looking forward to that. The first concert in October will be called The Symphony Returns. It's going to be a triumphant return. Again, looking forward to having live clapping going on in the orchestra experience. That'll feature one of our 2 young artist winners. The 2 young artists from the 2020 competition have agreed to extend their performance opportunity into this coming season, which is great. We have a family concert. I'm going to throw it out there. We're going to be doing the music of Paddington Bear's first concert, which is a wonderful sort of introduction to the orchestra with the story of Paddington. We have the Snowman movie as part of our holiday offering. This is a return performance that was a favorite with audiences. It's a live movie where the orchestra plays the soundtrack. Wonderful holiday favorite, and some Baroque delights on top of that. The Red Dress Concert, Rhapsody in Blue, ladies and gentlemen, coming back. One of the most beloved works for the orchestra. Has that jazzy feel, and we'll be playing other works of American music that is in the same vein. The chamber orchestra version of Mahler 4 that we had to cancel twice last year is on next season. It is a piece of music that we are just very excited to finally perform in March of 2022, come what may. I think we're going to play that concert even if the doors are locked. We'll figure out how to do that. And last but not least, building up to this grand finale in April of 2022, again, more music by our young artists and the Fourth Symphony of Tchaikovsky, which coincidentally was the very first symphony I performed as music director in 2011. So it's been a long time coming that we've had another chance to play Tchaikovsky. I can't wait to share all the details with you. We are so excited to contract a big group of musicians for these programs and to bring audiences back into the concert hall. It's very exciting. So season 72, get ready in July. We'll have lots of information for you coming soon.
Yep. Well done.
That's all of that.
Thank you so much for the update. Very nice. Very excited for that. Next, we're going to hear from Kevin.
So Kevin does not appear to be on the call.
Okay.
Kevin.
So shall
Let's
I?
see.
Do I hear somebody talking?
No,
He's not on the call?
he's not on the call.
Okay. Well,
You guys even I'll just say for the record, Alec and Kevin walked through
We
all
did.
this today. There was a lot of preparation going
we
on.
we've been
practiced.
preparing for this for the last several weeks. So this is, I'm sure he's somewhere. Maybe I'll text him. But yes, please move on, Alec. I appreciate
Okay.
the help in filling that gap.
Sure. Well, as we've mentioned, Thomas and I think we're in the budget every single day. So I am extremely prepared to talk about the process. I think I know that document better than my own name right now, so happy to do it. So what you can see here on the left is the up-to-date budget, and this is where we landed at the end of this year after constant daily pivoting. In the right, the blue column is what we passed 10,000 years ago in February of 2020. I believe we passed that budget. So we sort of heard rumblings, and so we had an idea and we were trying to prepare for something to change. And so it was down a little bit from where we've been before. We hover right around about 500,000. But as you can see, we ended up shaving $150,000 off our budget. It was just a constant ticket sales tanked. And so we had to adjust, and then we had to adjust for the market doing what it was going to do. So this is just showing you the raw numbers, and then I have some charts to help you visualize it. So this is what we budgeted for last season. So the blue part of the chart, that's about 2/3 of it, is what we spend on our artistic activities. And so that's putting musicians on stage, that's renting the hall to perform, and things like that. The red part of the circle that's 1/3 is the administrative work. So that's paying rent, that's paying your administrative staff, that's some just behind the scenes things that are not directly related to putting on the concert, but are necessary so that we have an organization that can have the concerts. So nationally, the fact that we're 1/3 admin and 2/3 artistic is extremely good. Most are closer to about 50-50, but we really skew heavily to paying our musicians to put on concerts, which is what we should do. So this was our budget last year. And then where we actually landed is, as I said, a little closer to half and half. And part of this was because we had to cut costs, and we also had to incur a bunch of technology costs because we had to buy computers and we had to learn how to use Zoom and we had to figure out the software. So it did shift a little closer to half and half, just in response to the year. So here's the story with the income. The green half is folks who give us money. So it's either in the endowment fund, it's grants that we get from the state, and then the huge chunk is sponsorships. The pink chunk is our gala and some other, we have fundraising parties, and then ticket sales are the yellow, which last year we were shooting for a little under 23%. In years past, we've averaged about 25, and we were trying to creep higher, but then the pandemic happened. So this is what we budgeted, and this is where we landed. So as you can see, the sponsors were still the key to us making it through this season. So again, thank you so much to our sponsors who stuck it out with us, even though they weren't sponsoring the thing they're used to, they still kept us afloat. And so we're very grateful to them. As you can see, also the gala still brought in about a little under a quarter of our income. And that was just an amazing event. I can't wait to hear from Kayla about that in a little bit. The chunk that takes over, though, is the non-recurring major income. And so this brings us to some financial updates and thank yous that I need to give. So first up is Wifley and Bank of Idaho, who helped us to acquire both rounds of the Payroll Protection Program funding to the tune of $45,000 each time. So that was a huge lifeline to us during this year.
Yeah.
And then we also need to thank the city of Idaho Falls, who was awarded some funding through the CARES Act. And with Jake's help, we were able to secure some of that funding, which will allow us to purchase our own audio video equipment and continue to live stream in the future. Even we can have folks in the hall, and then folks who aren't comfortable coming or who live in Ohio or wherever mom lives, they can also continue to watch, which is very exciting.
And
for
it's,
us.
let me just pause and say that, one of the things that we're seeing in the industry as audiences come back is, a move away from the technology. But what we've seen, and what I think is important for the Idaho Falls Symphony, is that our audience is no longer just local, and we've gotten to spread out so much that we want to continue that offering. And we also, with the technology, can then more easily and quickly pivot in the event that things need to change. So we can be bringing the music to everywhere and keeping these audiences engaged. And actually, some of our supporters are not full-time residents of Idaho Falls, such as myself, living in multiple places. So there are lots of reasons to keep this going. And thanks to the city grant, we're going to be very well positioned in the future to keep those offerings afloat.
Yes, very excited to be able to continue to offer that. It's amazing.
If I can interject one more thing, Alec.
Sure.
I think this demonstrates just another thing that you can't toot your own horn, so I'm going to toot it for you. This demonstrates just something else that Alec has had to adapt to. So there's grants. Okay, how do you apply for the grant? Okay, which grant should we apply for? Oh, are we going to do the PPP grant, or are we going to do this other grant? There was constant negotiating of all of those rules, all of the documentation that had to be provided. So again, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was a lot, and I'm glad I had the help that I did with Wifley. Judy Brower over there was really helpful with me getting those documents together. So a big shout out to her as well. And then finally, the big remaining financial thank you is we received an unexpected gift at the end of the year from the Willard Charitable Foundation. Virginia Willard is, of course, an extremely beloved friend of the symphony and the arts in general in Idaho Falls. She's everywhere. She loves all of the arts and the music, and she loves the symphony, and we love her too. And so we found out, I think, hours before the gala that we were getting a very sizable gift from that foundation this year that was really just an injection of hope that we needed at that point. We were all pretty tired and really just grinding through. And so getting that show of love from Virginia was really helpful. So thank you so much to Virginia and the Willard Charitable Foundation for that. And so now we can move on to talk about the gala, which means Caleb gets to talk. Once we get him
in here.
There we go. Hi, Caleb. Welcome.
Hello. So we this year we had our annual fundraising gala, which we were able to move to a virtual format, which was pretty awesome. Here is an example of the graphic. I know many of you guys saw this graphic and were able to participate in the gala, and it was an awesome event. So in the next slide, it shows a little bit of what it looked like. We had about 2 pages of people, about double this amount. We weren't able to get both the pictures, but it was quite an incredible event, and it was wonderful to see everyone's faces after such a long year of being apart. Our gala committee was co-chaired by Jackie Larson, Ann Howell, and Sharon Price. And also on that committee was myself, Joe Daniels, Jane Kessner, Denise O'Brien, Cindy Ozaki, Alec Peugh, Pat Scott, and Vala Kay and Sheree Webster. We definitely couldn't have done it without that committee and all of the commitment and the assistance for getting things put together. And we also couldn't have done it without our awesome auctioneers, Mick Oman and Mario Hernandez. They worked really hard and brought in some good money. Our main event sponsor, Bank of Idaho, and Cindy at the Samoa Club for featuring our cocktail for the evening, which was a hurricane drink, and it was pretty delicious. Also, to all of our other sponsors, great thank you. For this fundraising gala, we brought in about $59,000, just over $59,000. About half of that was sponsorships, and a lot of the other rest came from auctions. So it was a successful evening. For our expenses, we came in at an all-time low for our gala expenses since we were virtual. We had already purchased a lot of the electronics and hardware needed to produce the event. So we came in at about $7,000 on expenses, which is about half the size of normal. So that netted us in the gala $52,000, which was an incredibly successful event. As you can see, it comparatively to previous years, we didn't do quite as good, but we still did really, really well. So if you see down at the bottom is our history all the way back from 2017 with the One Wicked Gala. The red line is our expenses. The blue line is the income, and the green line in the middle is where we netted on the historically. So we did really, really well for a virtual event.
Agreed. Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah.
Thank you to the whole committee. That's amazing that happened. You know, it's such a fun live event, and to hear that the team was able to be so successful online, it's incredible to me. So huge thank you. Attaboy, good job, everything. Good job. All right, orchestra report. Doran.
Yes, getting the right person unmuted. Thanks, Doran.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to speak on behalf of the musicians of this very challenging last year. For many of the musicians, we didn't have an opportunity to play at all. Some musicians had the opportunity to play in virtual concerts. And so there was a lot of just not understanding what was happening, or challenges, or people not feeling connected. And so we as a symphony reps, we put together several orchestra meetings with Thomas and Alec where we could just engage and discuss and talk about what's happening with COVID and the updates of what the orchestra is doing. And it gave many musicians an opportunity to feel more connected with the rest of the orchestra. And I feel it was a valuable time spent just to help keep us connected, so that when we're back live this fall, we're still part of our big happy family. Many musicians learned new technologies this year, you know, playing online from home and different things. I think we all became experts in Zoom, which, you know, what a blessing that is to have that we were able to still perform music for our patrons. But many musicians, myself included, I just knew there wasn't going to be an opportunity to play. So I'm very excited for this upcoming season to have a chance to play my horn again. And I know many of the other musicians all feel the same way, that they're so excited to have the chance to meet and play, and looking forward to the concert in the park this fall to meet up. I want to thank Amanda Poitevin and Karen Wright for their 2 years of service on the board as orchestra's representatives, and also congratulate Christine Hutchins as the interim youth orchestra conductor. Congratulations to her. And the symphony members will be voting on 3 new orchestra representatives for the upcoming next 2 years. So thank you so very much. It's an honor to be a part of the orchestra, to be a part of the board, and whatever we can do to play music again this fall. I know I speak on behalf of everyone. We're very excited to have that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Doran.
All right, thanks so much, Doran. And onward. as I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, we're going to continue the voting through this evening. And so if you haven't voted yet, you'll see that Alec just attached a link. You can go ahead and click on that link and go and vote. Please vote. We have 3 folks that are up to serve their second 3-year term. Daniel, I can spell his name, but I can't say it.
Daniel D.
Thank you. Jake Taylor and Kevin Young. I don't know if I need to introduce them at all or talk about them.
I don't
Jake
think so.
Took someone else's place, and so that's why he's up for his second term. Kevin Young has been heading up the education committee. Daniel has been participating in multiple committees, including the COVID committee and the finance committee. Let's go ahead and go to the next page, Alec. Our new board members that we will be voting for today are Brian Zeal, Mary Lynn Hartwell, Aaron Adams, and Gina Stevenson. So again, please click on the link, and we greatly appreciate your input to go vote. We have 3 board members we are especially sad to see going, and would also like to just say thank you so much. So if you remember recently, I don't know exactly when, so Alec, feel free to jump in and correct me, but in the last few years we have added term limits, and these folks are at the end of their term limit. Karen Harris, big thank you. Lorena Murdoch, thank you. And Cherie Webster, thank you for your service. Again, these are the people that have contributed to setting up the symphony for being in the same position we are right now and able to weather the storm that we have weathered so wonderfully. So thank you. And last but not least, thank you to all of our supporters, our volunteers, again, our sponsors. One more hat tip to our executive staff. Thomas, I don't know how you do it, Thomas, but somehow you keep the energy positive. And
thank you, Jake.
What a lucky community we are to have you here. Big thank you to you.
It's a pleasure.
You know, if you have more things to add, I invite you guys to add them.
I do. Yeah, I want to shout out to the staff who helped us do all the things this year. So I want to shout out to Caleb, who spoke on behalf of the event planning committee, but who also has been providing tech support all year. He had to learn all the things to help everybody who called in needing help with the concert streaming. And he was the one in the chat box talking with everybody. So still maintaining the front of house, even though front of house looked pretty different. So a huge shout out and thank you to Caleb. And also Ellen, our orchestra librarian, talk about learning new skills.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything became digital, and just to move from a paper product to a virtual product for Ellen was a monumental task. So Ellen, excellent work. Thank you so much for your work in the library. And of course, Joe Grow, we had such an incredible team this year. And as that team morphs and evolves, I think one of the things we've learned this year is that we have had to sort of shift responsibilities, and we're growing the staff right now. It's really an exciting time to be looking at all the different ways to sort of reconfigure. And so that's where we're at right now. And I know that I speak for all of us in the staff when I say that we appreciate everyone's understanding and flexibility as we learn and grow and just kind of make these changes. It's always, change is hard. I think there's been a lot of learning on the fly this year and needing to change, but we have figured out, I think, the best way to move forward, and the budget and the season and everything that we're preparing right now does have a lot of growth in it. And I think we learned this year what were our weaknesses, what were our strengths, and what do we need moving forward. And so you all have been really instrumental in helping us learn what those were and how best to utilize our resources. So again, I don't think there was a single person this year that didn't work their brains out and who didn't give everything they had to the Idaho Falls Symphony. It was really an amazing effort. So
Absolutely. Well said.
A couple more thank yous. Big thank you to Cindy Ozaki. She's been serving the board for the last 7 years. And she resigned in the middle of this year, but huge thank you for everything that she's done for our board. I also say big thank you to Kim Carpenter. Kim Carpenter has been just amazing, just support for the executive committee, and Alice Pike as well. So I don't know, lots of people filling in and lots of people doing a lot to make us successful. So thank you.
Yes. Yep. So if anyone has any questions, we cruised right on through this, so we have a few minutes. So we can hang around for a couple more. If you've got questions, put them in the chat and we can get to those. Otherwise, we can wrap up here in a couple of minutes. I don't know. Is there anything else we want to say?
I'm thinking of other business. You know what?
Can I just say something also about the COVID committee and how instrumental they have been in researching all of the rules and all of the CDC guidelines and trying to figure out, all right, what does this mean for us, and researching what other music groups are doing and just staying on the cutting edge. They're continuing to do that work, not just this past year, but they're continuing to do work moving forward to help us just safely get those numbers back up and get back to full live performance.
Absolutely. And thank you to Arthur Kuhl, who was the chair of that committee and has been serving as past president. So lots of institutional knowledge we needed to lean on this year. So thank you to Arthur for serving as the chair of that.
And, I would say one of the things that has been such a disappointment, I know, is for our students, especially the students in the youth orchestra. I mean, this program, the Youth Symphony, is something that the students have used to grow every single year. And it's just so sad that some of the kids even missed their senior year of the Youth Symphony after having been in there for 3 years in some cases. And so there's just been, I know that this year comes at tremendous cost, and there was a lot lost. And we've been singing the song and the praise of all the hard work that went into it, but a lot of that is irreplaceable. And it really is sad when you think about it. So I want us to remember that those students have missed this year, not because we need to feel bad for them or anything like that, but just because it's important to acknowledge that lost time. Because when you're in an ensemble, it's all about progress and growth. And I think for the students in particular, I guess it's true for the adults as well, to speak to Doran's point on behalf of the orchestra, they have missed it. They have not had the chance to take the step from year to year that we've enjoyed all of the years that I've been here and for my predecessors before. So it is a time that has had tremendous loss. And I think we need to acknowledge that while also just singing the praises of the organization. So it's such a mixed year. I've been so mixed in my emotions, but I will say that when we finally do get back in the concert hall and we have the opportunity to, again, have the live applause and have the staff acknowledged in person and the musicians together, all of that is going to be so good for our souls and our musical lives. And I know it's more true for the students than for many of us. So just Youth Symphony students, hang in there. Parents, hang in there. We're coming back with that program as well. And as Doran mentioned, we have a wonderful interim music director in Christine Hutchings. I'm very grateful for the education committee and the search committee that carried out that search process. It was very successful. We learned a lot about the candidates who applied, and we just have wonderful educators in our community who we want to support in our youth programs. So Jake, I just wanted to add some more about our youth programs. It's been a year of no music for those kids for the most part. And that being said, they found ways, right? We found ways to engage with them and to utilize the technology. But still, I just want to say we're coming back, students, and get ready to make some great music again. Yeah.
Thank goodness. we missed it in our house. I know a lot. Okay, are there any other questions? You can type them in the chat if anyone has any questions.
Sure. It looks like we have a rep question.
Repertoire
from Dave. Is that what that
suggestion.
is?
I guess we can, at this point, I think we can wrap up the meeting. Is that correct, Alec?
There you go.
Okay, sorry.
Technology.
So my
Hey,
computer
there we
just
go.
crashed. In
Look,
true,
we're frozen down there, but we're also up here.
Yes.
So there we are.
in true
Yeah.
2020 fashion, my computer just crashed.
Sorry, Caleb, didn't mean to kick you out of there. Dean's suggestion was to play the largest work for orchestral forces in the repertoire. I'm not sure we're going to get there just yet, Dean. So stay tuned. We'll get you planned. Don't worry. Yeah.
Did
But
you
otherwise-
see Daniel's question? Can you see that question
Daniel
Daniel's
had a question.
about the competition? I assume you're talking about the youth competition, or which competition?
Got it. Yeah.
We got it there. Yeah.
Is that the young artist competition?
Yeah,
probably?
so we mentioned a little bit, the students in October, the finalists had a recital, and we did select the 2 winners. And so they will have an opportunity to perform with us this year coming up. There'll be Lorana will play in October, and James Tyler McKay will play in April of 2022. So those students, they did a wonderful job. All the finalists really did. It was such an uplifting final recital. And again, no one was able to be there except the teachers and parents of the students. So it was a very small turnout, but we had a wonderful panel of judges that included Emma Kale, who's the new executive director of the Grand Teton Music Festival. Her husband was able to be one of the judges, and he's the principal bassist of the Kansas City Symphony. So we had some wonderful talent on the judging process. So again, thank you for mentioning it, Daniel. We've got the students on deck for next season. Yeah. And I believe that was all the questions,
I
Jake.
think that's it.
Well, I'm just going to say thank you again for your support of music in our community, and we look forward to another year.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here and
Yeah,
there
here
and
and
everywhere.
there.
Yeah, so we appreciate all of you. Bye. Thank you.